Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and that spectrum of genders in between. How are we doing today? We have for you folks another cast. And let's just jump straight into this with a tiny bit of news while the game's loading. And that's not long ago, a 3 versus 3 ladder format has been introduced. So we have 1 versus 1, 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4 game modes all available to people in the ladders, and that's what we're going to look at today. A 3 versus 3 ladder, the most recent mode type. Just let me do my usual sorting up here. We'll have an introduction to the teams, and we'll have a gander at the map itself as well. So some water here, some water up here, but water down there. So navy is going to be something used by both teams, one would hope so, because this is going to be very important. Navy in the middle here, it can deny so much mass. Around the back, of course, as well, they're going to be able to park up here and deny all this kind of area. Maybe not so much this pond. Anyway, let's have a gander at all the reclaim, and not a heck of a lot. A few clumps here and there of some rocks to grab, but they're all very small. Going to take a little bit of time to get through those, so the mass expansion is going to be good. Anyway, team 1 is going to be blue up here in the corner. Team 2 down in the red corner. First up for team number 1, we have Mr. Canna. Canna is UEF in the light blue color. Maybe a bit of the whipping boy in this game. He is the lowest rated, so see how that works out for the team. His first teammate back here, also UEF, it is Kenny Lee, 090, and he's in the lavender color. Getting to work on his hydro there. Third player for team number 1 up here, another UEF player. This time it's Scaub? Looks like Scaub. And he's Scaub, and he's in the deep blue color. So nothing but UEF for team number 1. See how that plays out in the long run. For team number 2, first up down here, another UEF player. It is These Nuts. He's in the burgundy color over there. Beside him at the back in Aeon orange, it is Frogfist. Frogfist is there. He's got his factory up, maybe looking to go towards an air factory with that kind of build. And the last player of the game, third player for team number 2, it is Eunuch. And Eunuch is here as Cybran in red. We're getting his commander going for a wicked walk. I'm not entirely certain where to. Up to the front? Yep, up to the front. Sounds good. Get here, deny any units that might try to sneak past and do some damage back in this direction, and that would be incredibly helpful. But the only hover units actually belong to Frogfist, at least in the T1 stage. Those roars could go places, but he's the air player, so maybe not see so much hover action today. This pond remain mostly clear of that, unless it gets T2. And we have a naval factory planned by somebody. There's an ambitious plan there from Scaub, but it looks like it will probably succeed, because I don't really see any units getting over here quickly to stop the engineer doing what he's doing. Alright, let's have a look at the expansion of what's going on. We have Canna is throwing down a handful of T1 factories. Looks like it's going to go for that kind of spammy build going on there. Got another bunch of factories lined up over this direction. They should hopefully be from Scaub, going somewhere different. He's got himself a transport coming out of his first air factory, so he's wanted to make a drop somewhere. Maybe over this direction to grab some of these as soon as possible. Who knows, we'll figure that out a little bit later once our transport gets in the air. Naval factory planned back here for these nuts. He is going to go on the outside track and get some ships coming around this way. Ships, boats, whatever you want to call them. But they'll be able to come in here and harass once they get to the T2 stage. Back down this direction, and not a lot of early harassment or raiding. We do have some defensive labs up here just in case of engineers trying to be sneaky and grab the rocks. Another lab going out this way with a scout in front. Again, probably just looking for any engineers that might just happen to go for the rocks early. But we'll keep an eye on that. There we go. There is the transport out there with a handful of engines on it. Where is it going? It's going to drop here. Nope, I can leave that engine by itself. It's actually going to drop up here on the plateau. And it looks like he wants to claim that. So first engine drops, first units out. A couple of labs here could actually make their day in absolute misery if Dees was aware of the engine drop there. Though it's coming down this way. If it's going to drop there, that could be a terrible place for the engine to drop. But the units move off just as the transport comes in. Nope, they do a U-turn. The drop was seen and they come back, and the mech marines will make short work of that little NG. Not doing much on first. Now they can head this way, and that'd be good to cut that off from completing. Another engineer drop over here, so it's aggressive from Scoob with the engine drops. Wants to try and claim these sections for himself, but he's not going to get far. This engineer, yeah, it's going to finish the mechs. It's not going to finish the factory though. These guys are definitely going to take that one out. Naval factory's almost complete here for Scalp. It's about to go into the green one, I think. At that 75% health mark, there we go. And I'm hearing more fire from somewhere else. There we go. There's a stray lab has snuck up this way. It has managed to kill off the engineer just before it completes the mass extractor. In fact, I think the engine was pulled off that extractor to come try and do reclaim duty on the lab to kill it off, but unfortunately the lab got to it first, and now we have counter lab coming down. Will it be able to kill it in time before the mass extractor dies? One would think so. Alright, small firefight down here. I say small because there's a couple of mantis versus a big swarm of tanks. Not good for the mantis. South is out of the game. Factory is done over here, so that is Navy about to come out, and delayed into the pond is these nuts. He's not going to catch that. That is ahead. Of course, he's got the two factories back here, which means bad news for him. Did send a couple of units up here to kill this engineer as well, and he now actually has control over both plateaus. So the engineer dropped Gambit, didn't quite work out for Scoop. I don't think he had, well, I guess he's held on to this one long enough for it to pay for itself. So T1 mixers need to exist for a very short time before they pay for themselves. They are 2 mass per tick and they cost 50 to build, so I think it's 25-30 seconds. If they survive that long, they have actually paid for themselves in the long run, or the short term anyway. Right, frigates coming out here from Scalp, and they are going to go straight over this way. Look to try and deny the Navy that is going up from D's Nice. He's got his commander in the water, so that will be quite handy on that front. Big old force of units down here from Kerner, just holding that territory. I think he wants to move out a bit quicker though. Got some mass extractors that are just waiting to be picked up. Going for the Hydro at the moment, and hasn't rebuilt or rebuilt this mass extractor. Probably a mistake. He has 2 engineers there. One of those could have easily done that. Alright, fight going on here. There's a bit of a push from Kerner right into some T1 PD. He decides he wants a whole lot of nope towards that. Drops out of range, doesn't want to lose too many units. Wise idea. If kept pushing, they would have all died and would have been a net loss. Over here we can see that the frigate has arrived and is plugging away at the naval factory. These is imprisoned with his commander, so he could repair it or assist it or something to us do work on that. T1 bomber blows over here, does a big old damage to a clump of units on that front. Quite heavy damage, but did get a kill in the end. They did eventually explode. Napalm for the win. Alright, 2 naval factories in the water plus units against the 1 belonging to these nuts, who is working on a torpedo launcher. And this frigate is well placed to destroy anything that factory starts to build. Not very helpful when you're trying to get that working. Now there's 2 frigates up, and that is not going to be too much longer before it is down and out. We have a Tiger Shark sub turning up as well. Air fight over here, just some T1 NTs having a go. There is some anti-air on the ground, so maybe they don't want to loiter too long, but they have just hold the skies for the moment, sort of. Big old massive unit built up over here. Both forces of Kenner and Scuba are moving up, some T1 forces, and this PD is not in play yet, so it's a good time to push before the point defense is done. And before there's any unit reinforcements, the engineers are going to last too much longer. The point defense does not complete, and now there is a hole that needs plugging with the units because there's no other option. But the unit comp, yeah, I think there's more for team number 1 at the moment there. We see it is Kerner pushing in, Scoop pulls back a little bit, then changes his mind, comes back in support. That might cost him that battle. Perhaps there's plenty of units here from Unic. They might be okay. No, I don't think they will be. So he's going to need some support on that front before there is an overrun here. It's a big old smash into there. The unit from Scoop are pushing over towards the right. That is going to be bad for these nuts, although he does have T2 on the field, so I'm the T2 PG in that. I think I saw an upgrade. Yes, we go. So that's where his eco is at the moment. Finishes off a torpedo launcher, and instead of pushing that, torpedo bombers are out as well, so Froggy has not been idling there. He's got a couple of torpedo bombers out. He's going to shoot these units away as well. Going to give these nuts a chance to repair, but he's having to recall his commander because there's no pressure up this way, but there's plenty of pressure over this way, so he's going to have to defend his production, especially these factories that are going up towards T2. If they get popped, there's a lot of mass wasted. So Dsnars feels he is forced to drag his commander back out of there to get into this battle to try and stem the tide. Units are coming up here in support from Frogfist. He does have an air factory putting a few of those out. T2 factory is now going towards T3, so he's going straight for that T3 air upgrade. He's got the power to do it, 3 T2 pigeons on that, and that's 37% of the way towards T3. How's it going over this way? Well, Kenny is well ahead. We haven't even said Kenny's name much at all, actually. And anyway, he is 67, 8, 9, 70% of the way towards a T3 upgrade. Only got the 2 T2 pigeons, so that will be why is it Frogfist is a little bit behind because he took the time to build a 3rd T2 pigeon, actually building another one. So he must be giving power to his team by something hugely. Right, over here we can see the correct answer to T1 PD is T1 Arty. Now they're taking down 2 of those, 3rd one's alive, but it's going to be a problem. A drop down here looks like an engineer, just probably going to claim those 2 mixes, but the business is going on right here. Scuse here with his commander joining in the frigate, but he's got no upgrades. It's just a base old commander with nothing there, but with all these units in support, it shouldn't be too bad. Upgrade going down for these nuts. He's starting T2 in his comm. I wonder if maybe Gunner's a better option. He's got these engineers right here. A whole bunch of T2 engineers. They could have decided to pop down T2 PD while he got gun on his commander. Get the commander doing the shooting, get the engineers to do the building, and Bob's your uncle. So we've got this random T1 torpedo launcher over here just shooing away some frigates that happen to stray a little close. I'm pretty sure these 4 frigates could just swarm that and take care of it, but over here we have T2 upgrade almost done for Kenny. That's going to be a problem. The UEF with some cruisers in this pond is going to be a massive, massive issue, and in fact that is exactly what he's starting with. There's no naval units to worry about, so cruisers is it. There we go though, the T2 is out on the commander, the engineers here as well, and they're starting to throw down the PD. Some frigates decide that sitting around here is a good plan, and the T2 PD disagrees, but the T2 PD can't actually hit them. It's having some very bad shots there, and now the frigates decide, yeah, okay, maybe I'll move away from that. Tack launcher going down here, and that's going to have some good range on it. What's going to go for? Over this direction we can see still some pushing, but there's T2 units on the ground now for Unic, and they are going to help chill out the numbers. And Scuse did get himself an upgrade on the commander, a very quick gun upgrade at some point. I missed that, and he is now able to run around and do some extra damage on that front. Got to be a little bit careful when he does have a gun comm there. A couple ranks of veterans here. There's T2 on the ground and a big old swarm. Got numbers behind him, so not too bad. This direction it is Unic, and he is kind of there almost lonesome with his commander. Though he is putting down a T2 PD, he's got a single T1 PD, and the water is nearby for a hasty escape if the swarm comes in his direction, which I feel like it might. But here's the problem, T2 units, yes, but commander will overcharge those out of the game. In the meantime, they will carve up the T1 quite happily. Right back in this direction, we see his T2 on the ground course for these nuts. We saw the engineers earlier. Skills commander here doing some things. He's just doing a bit of a PD creep, wants to deny this area to the opponent. The attack launcher is up, and the attack launcher is launching. What is it launching towards? One may ask. There's the missile on the way. There's a few targets it could go for. Got a T2 HQ over there, got a T2 mix up here. Got some more mixes, but they're all level 1. I hear air, I see gunships, I see mercies, I see Scoob too far forward with that air support, and he goes Bob. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear me, it wasn't gunships that got him, it was absolutely the mercies. Not even any kind of T1 anti-air near him would have helped with that. They could have popped those out of the sky. A good identify and connect from Frogfist, and that leaves it in 2v1. Of course it is ladder, so full share, everything is handed on over. There is a cruiser out, which is going to make this attack launcher a wee bit redundant, because, you know, cruisers have TMD aboard. What are they going for? Well, the factory is damaged. Wanted to kill the T2 factory, a good call. You don't want that to get into full production because that is a detriment to your health. The counter push is on as well. We've got, without the commander to overcharge these T2 units, they can just start wading through all the T1 spam, especially supported by everybody at this particular point in time. But here's the issue. T2 Navy means T2 ships, which includes cruisers, and if they're UEF variety, then they have TAC missiles. And you're going to want to get some TMD up so they stop doing bad things. But I hear a strat, I see a strat. So an ambassador has been brought out from Kenny Lee, and it is currently trying to be irritating and destroying mass, which it is doing pretty well. There's a nice big clump there it could have gone for. We're getting some inties chasing it. Are we speeding out an ASF? Well, you should be putting everything into that to try and get that going, because at the moment this is the target you want to go for. Some inties are trying their best, but kaboom, 2 T2 mixes down just like that, slapped in between, and that's ideally what you want. Some ASF's out now, and a swift one as well. That bomber will probably get one more bomb away to destroy this mix, but that should be as much as it gets. There we go, there's the bomb back on screen, dropping the bomb, and now they can target it. There we go, and the strat is denied any further action. Speaking of counter pushes down the bottom here, and these 4 mixes here are not going to last too much longer. Additionally, nope, they are just rhinos. I thought maybe there'd be some amphibious action out of that being T2 tanks, but nope, they're just rhinos. But they're going to be able to wander up this way quite happily. Speaking of amphibious action though, we have these nuts. He has a whole band of riptides, but just sitting still. Sitting still is a bad idea when you are being lobbed at by a cruiser. What you can do is move and it misses. Did I hear another strat? I did hear another strat. It is going this way and is going for the T2 Navy HQ up here, which is going to be detrimental to these nuts if it keeps going through. There we go, it's swinging back around. And it's very damaged. Although it's gotten too close to a cruiser and it is popped out of the sky, but that guy, the ACF's whenever required. Cruiser does the job. Alright, we have a big old swarm of riptides, and they are actually they should be able to take out that destroyer pretty easy. What they're going to do is rush it, not dodge around too much, just bum rush that right in. I think these nuts must be focused a little bit elsewhere because this is getting out of range. A few torpedo bombers left over from earlier on from Frogfist come over. I think they were there back in the T1 stage when that was going on. They're going to come and drop their payload in. They're going straight for the destroyer. I don't know if that was the right idea, but these riptides need to push forwards because the destroyer will outrange them and just slowly carve them up into nothingness. Back here, the push has been repelled by Kerner. He's come in with his own T2 forces, and there's a lot of damage going on. These guys have fallen back as they're required to do. Engineers over here are ready to rebuild the mixes and maybe grab the reclaim. Back over the side, we see more riptides coming off the factory line. It's not going to be problematic. But there we go, got some T2 engineers over here. If we consider putting up a TMD to maybe try and slow that kind of thing down. There's one TMD here, and of course the tech launcher is very full. What's the range on that? He could ignore all this. Oh no. TMD is up. 1, 2, 3. 3 tech defense up. They're going to be enough to hold off any attempts there. You could maybe tech this a little bit here, but that feels kind of redundant. So, not a lot of range of that tech launcher. And as a matter of fact, incoming tech. I'm not sure if that was a destroy or... No, I think it was destroyed from the area effect of the tech missiles coming in. And that was a very, very full tech launcher, and it's basically got nothing done. I think it landed 1 missile onto this, and it was full of missiles, so it's a lot of mass wasted out of that launcher. If you got it, you got to use it. We'll control cat and reclaim the mass because, yeah, that was all just lost thanks to the tech launcher. So some TMD going down here. Don't want to lose too much more of that. Right, the riptides are just sort of moving around. They don't want to have too many problems. Up here, a strat bomber takes out... Was that a frigate or a destroyer? I think it might have been a frigate. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a frigate then, because those wrecks don't look very big. There is some defensive strat work killing off the Navy. Curious decision. So, air is getting work done for team number 1. Keneally is doing a good job on there. See a Janus rocks on out, but there's not a lot going on. Of course, napalm does burn on the water apparently, because it just sits on top, floats, and makes all the burning stuff happen. Those riptides need to get themselves mobile, and the inties out from these nuts should be able to take care of the Janus. There's only a couple of them, and they should be able to swarm them with numbers despite the anti-air coming in from the cruisers. This is now a problem though. There's a couple of destroyers, a couple of cruisers. They do not want to let this get too close because a lot of the base here is going to be under pressure, going to have some issues. Tech missiles coming in, the TMD are trying to do their best, but there's not enough. If I remember correctly, you need about 2 tech missile defense per cruiser that comes in, just because of the spate of missile rate that comes in, but that's a good swarm of riptides. Couldn't they swing this and can they swing that? I hear more bombers. Here we go, torpedo bombers up this direction. They are going for the T2 Naval HQ. There's the air coming in there from Frogfist to assist. It's a very damaged HQ though, lots of damage on there, and the torpedo bomb is still coming in. I don't think it's going to survive this push. Oh, very nearly 1400 health. You want to repair that. you want to repair that. In the meantime, the naval push up here has been stunted by the hover. The hover's having a good go of that, just needs to rush on in and kill these, everything. Once the cruisers are gone, it's going to be much easier to deal with. If the destroyers are gone, there'll be a lot of firepower lost. In comes the air from Frogfist to take care of the Janus as well. They do one destroyer down, sorry, one cruiser down, one destroyer about to go down. And if these reptiles can get up here, they can kill off all the build power. That'll be very, very handy as well. If they sneak up here, it's a very nearly dead destroyer. There it goes, now sinks into the water. One destroyer left and a cruiser, but the build power, unfortunately, is still up and that factory is still going. If they can kill off the cruiser, then you can start attacking that if he still had attack launch, which he doesn't because it died. More hover on the way, Frog was setting up his T1, that could be good. Back up here we have a big old fight brewing here, and there is T3 on the ground. I see the Titan. It is having a grand old time with us, just needs to keep mobile, maybe trying to keep a little bit out of range, got another Titan back there. Some T2 PD going down here from these guys, couple of attack launches, some T1, so I can't really push. Counter push coming down the left hand side. This is a lot of T2 units from Kerner. Yeah, when I say a lot, I mean a lot. There's a big old bunch of pillars, there's flak, there's mobile missile launchers, there's shields. That is a sizable army, and there's simply not enough on the ground here to repel it, I do not think. Yeah, there's a handful of Cerberus turrets, but my word, that is a sizable number of units to rush in, and looks like Eunuch has recognised the danger. He just wants to try and maybe thin out the numbers or repel them long enough to give him time to get down a lot more PD. It's going to need to get more shields as well. That is a base generator, not good for your health. Back up on the pond, just up here we see the hover has retreated. Is it going in a different direction? Not sure what's going on. And the factory's under repair, but there's a few more torpedo bombs coming up. There's a couple of cruisers out, and they're not going to survive too much longer on that. The hover there from Frogfist is doing what hover does, going straight over the water and looking to make some damage there. Yes, indeed, the torpedo bombers are going for the cruiser. Cruiser might not survive that. A few torps in the water. No, he's good down there. That's still good. And you can hold there, but this is the story at the moment, and the worrying story. There are far more units on the ground here for team number 1, and especially those T3 are going to be a problem. What do they have to repel them? Basically not enough, not much. Decisive is here with his commander. He can maybe start throwing down some PD. He's got some factories here, and they are on the build, building up more riptides. He does have T3 available to him back here. T3 HQ is up and running. He's going to need to be careful. Commander's only got T2, no gun on him at all. So two big armies both going for the commanders for team number 2. And who is going to be in danger first? Well, down here we have the T2 PD is ramping on up and starting to kill something what they can. Kill the shields off first, and then the T1. Oh, there is no T1 PD. So just as a note, T1 PD actually does more damage than T2, has higher DPS, less range, but if things get close, they want to do stress coming out there from Frogfist. They're going to assist and start thinning out numbers. Big old cutoff coming in here, so instead of trying to push these nuts, these guys are kind of swinging down and look to surround Eunuch. Eunuch is making a play for the water, and boy does he need to. This position is untenable, simply not enough PD, not enough shielding, and now it is up to the stress from Frogfist trying to help. Frogman's commander down here, he can pop out and do some overcharges on these units as they go past. That's about all he can do, really. Duck in and out the water. Needs to be careful though. Those T2 units can turn on him in an instant and do a lot of damage. He really needs to get the heck out of dodge. These units are done for. Big old swarms coming on in, and he needs to be careful as well as these nuts. T2 on his comm, and that's all. And if he gets pushed, he's going to have problems. Right now, massive overrun here. That is from Kerner doing well for himself. He has decided he's had enough of Eunuch's little wee firebase and has ushered that commander into the water. And Eunuch now has to go. But what is going to happen from here on out? We see there's some loyalists there working on him, but there's Percival's in the mix here as well. Percy's very bad for loyalists. Percy's, a couple of shots and those guys will be dead. Some T2 PD over here, upgrade going out in the middle of nowhere. Gun upgrade for D's. Well, I suppose he's got T2, so that shouldn't take too long to do. I don't know if gun's the right answer. I think he needs more units out. I think he needs T3 units out. Is anything actually going for that? Well, he's still committing to that Riptide spam because he kind of has to. In comes some Janus though. Janus going straight for the commander, who is... I think he's going to have to commit to that. No, the Janus have gone for the PD. I thought if they went for the comm that would be a better idea. But these nuts are recognising the danger decisively. And that's Frogfist. So Frogfist actually has himself a full-on gun comm. Shields double gun. I think it's just single shield. Yep, just single shield, but still, shield is better than nothing, and needed some kind of assistance on the front. There's so many units, but it's such a dangerous situation, especially for Dees. Dees does not want to loiter around. His commander is very exposed. There's so many units down here, and that's far too big an army for these two guys to try and take on. Frogfist has got right into his running away, and it is Dees Nuts who's actually getting blocked by the ASS belonging to Frogfist. Nope, they pull back as well now, so that is fine. Shouldn't be too bad, but this is not a good place for Dees Nuts to be. He is going to be exposed. There's shielded units coming, there's T3 units coming. He definitely does not want to be here. Neither commander really wants to be here, and they need to make a quick escape if they can. Percivals have come into range, and you can see what they're doing to Dees Nuts. Dees Nuts getting absolutely hammered. Big old smashing, and Dees Nuts thinks, I'm not getting out of this, so I'm going to attack as many units as possible. He's walking forward. That comm explosion is going to destroy a whole bunch of things. Shield goes down. Ideal timing. Kaboom! And that, I think, was the ideal move he could have done. Taking out so many units there is actually going to let Frogfist survive. Maybe he shouldn't have been up there in the first place. Maybe. Definitely he shouldn't have been up there in the first place. Single crews left in here, and there were a bunch of Riptides going for it. They need to get these guys on the move to take care of that, because at the moment it is trying to do some work. GC stomping out there for Frogfist, so he was not entirely idle. I think I did see the GC notification before, but didn't actually take any action on it. But now there's T3 units romping into what was D-Nut space, but it's now Frogfist, of course, and that is going to be bad for the health of everything around here. Especially these units sitting in the water that are idle. We have a T2ID is absolutely focusing on the wrong thing. Should be going for this or this, probably that first, and then go from that scale. But counter push on the bottom now. Bricks have turned up, and they will do grand old damage to T2 units, though the shields won't be helping them that much. The bricks need to fall back. They have good range though. I want to keep that alive. Here we go. GC has caught up to the Titans. That's unfortunate. Titans could have just walked away. They are a lot faster than a GC. Okay, this direction. We now have 2 cruisers and 2 destroyers out in the water, and they're going to start bombarding basically everything. These factories here, they're going to have a very, very bad time. Going to want to think about a whole swarm of TMD here, one would think, because that's going to be a big problem otherwise. Where's the GC going? Well, it's going for the water, and the water is deep enough that it will not be able to be hit. Going to waltz on through there and pop out somewhere to do some extra damage. But speaking of Navy, we have the counter to that going up in the top pond, so Dees Nuts had focused on the outside pond, whilst the inside pond was focused up here by Kenny, or rather Scube, until Scube died. Right, these guys are now ready to go and start trying to kill things. They got trying to contend with all that, and I do hear bombers somewhere. Torpedo bombers, a whole swarm of torpedo bombers, and they're going for the GC. But that is a definite good air engage. We see the torpedo bombers with the decoy, and it is Kenny behind the ASS belonging to Frogfist. He's killed most of the torpedo bombers, but that is a good move from Kenny. He's forced the engage with the torpedo bombers, so Frogfist had to reply, but he's lost most of his air there, keeping that like the Colossus alive. But it is about to pop out of the water and start doing some very bad things to other units. A lot on the ground though, including Percivals. Wants to try and stay away from those perhaps. Decides to walk in a circle. That's not conducive to efficient use of a GC. But now is going for the Percivals, is not going to get much done, I don't think. The shields, plus the Titans, plus the Percivals, plus the Navy off the side, that GC is going to take a lot of damage, and in comes some broadswords. And that is really going to ruin that GC's day. It is not going to get much done. It's going to kill off a lot of these units. Yes, it's very useful to destroy the ground army, but the air is going to just take it out of the game. Now I can turn around and focus on some of the Navy. Maybe I could look again back into the water. Perhaps it could get away from broadswords, but not a heck of a lot more it can do at this stage. Broadswords I think are going to finish off, but the air does actually come in there from Frogfist. The broadswords are gone now, it's just the Navy, and the GC survives with not a lot left to take it out. Turns around, starts shooting at the Navy, which is shooting at it, but it can't reach the destroyers, which are going to damage. The T2PD over here is doing its work as well. And unless it gets another rank of unity, that GC will not last too much longer. The Navy is going to finish it off, 1800 health, and comes some more broadswords, and yeah, that is the end of a GC that I don't know if it really paid for itself. Yes, I got rid of a massive T3 army here, and have a look at the reclaim, including the GC is now 37,000 reclaim on the doorstep of team number 1, which can use a hell lot of that. But the story of the moment is the top pond, and Navy has broken through there from Frogfist. The destroyers come up and done its thing, but in come the broadswords. There's a couple of governors back here, and the question is, will there be enough to shoo off all of these? I think the answer is going to be no. Broadswords are very tanky. They might get one, maybe get two, but there's going to be a very dead governors very quickly. Just like that, and the governor's gone. So 1.5 broadswords dead, and now it is the destroyer's turn, but do kind of own that particular bit of the water. Speaking of things that are in own, still have this in the middle, still have Navy ready to go, and of course all the reclaim you could want. And come the engineers, and they're going to scoop up all of that. So one of the things people need to try and remember, small part down here, a couple of bricks going to be absolutely overpowered, is if you're painting a big engage, you kind of got to think about the mass as well, the cost, the wrecks, the everything, because that GC walking up here, while it did take out the army, it has just given them another 37,000 reclaim to be had on that, on the doorstep basically, and they can use that to put into their own experimental, like the fat boy that's done here, rebuilding the army, everything like that. So the reclaim field is very important. It can actually help tip the balance in your favor. I saw some games a while ago where somebody won literally because of reclaim. He was behind on eco the entire game, but because he was able to get the reclaim fields and get everything to him, it actually succeeded in winning the game. That was Blackheart, by the way. I don't know if you remember that guy. He was actually a really good player. We have a second Fat Boy done over here for Canada, so now we have 2 Fat Boys on the field and a third one on the way, all the reclaim to make it happen. So multiple Fat Boys are a problem. We have another GC down for Frogfist that is walking its way towards the front, though where it's going to go this time is a very good question. Do they have any other experimentals? We have a monkey on the way that is going up, well, not too slowly, so not too slowly at all. There's the old build queue, and that is a nuke launcher. So Frogfist is moving into the range destruction game. Going to look at throwing a nuke launcher out there. The question is, has Team 1 scouted this? No, they haven't. It is a grey dot, so they've got no idea that the launcher was even started or being built. Broadswords are working their way around the Navy up here. They're shooting at what looks like the radar signature from these guys. No, it's ground fire. I think something is there. That's a ground fire command for these guys, and they're shooting the ground very, very well. Bad ground, bad water. Not good things there. Alright, GC is walking out this way. It's a sizable army with support. It should be fine. Be able to sort that out. But the Navy is now working its way down here. There's destroyers off the coast. Yes, there's a handful of TMD which are not able to keep up with the destroyer. So the cruiser TMLs, they are going to lose this one shortly, and then it's going to be a bigger problem. They need one more a little closer because they are not keeping up. Too many cruisers here and not enough TMD. Anything to try and take care of these guys. Maybe see the Percivals up this way, they can start lobbing some shells onto them, but right now it is Galactic Colossus down here waltzing into a T3 army. Maybe not so good for your health, especially when there's a pair of Fat Boys also rolling on, and just look at that fireback coming on down. That GC is getting absolutely blasted by those guys. Big old face laser, yes, but also Fat Boy fire, and the health is just dripping off that thing. Being split by T3 units now though, and they might be able to just get up ahead where the GC cannot. All the focus is on this course. 40,000 health, and that is the end of that T3 army, and the big push could continue onwards. Maybe just twist and dodge just a little bit. A lot of that fire will miss and be, there we go, the twist and dodging is occurring, and now there's a lot less happening. So fire comes in from some Janus. I'd rather walk through the fire than the napalm than into the Fat Boy flames. The ASF's coming there from Froggy, they're going to take care of that, but the GC is all but done into the red, and the Fat Boys are still shooting at it. Meantime, the T3 is coming a big old air fight as well, so that is coming in there from Kenny. He's brought his AFCs in to have a tangle with Frogfist here. And even as they're having the air fight, which looks like it is probably going in favour of Kenny. Yes indeed, I think the skies are turning lavender. Over here we have a push in this direction. Ground forces have decided, we don't care about your GC. In fact, the GC is dead, it's just fallen over and died. But there's still T3 units on the ground. They are in range of this Fat Boy now. And there's that the third Fat Boy, yes it is, so 3 Fat Boys on the ground now for team number 1, and they are decimating everything down here. They might knock the shields off on this guy, but in the end it just simply hasn't worked. Not enough firepower to get things done. T3 rampaging down this way. We see all the Titans running ahead of the Percy blob because they're so much slower. And this is sometimes why formation move can make more sense. While your Titans and shields are run ahead, they are all by themselves, they're getting obliterated by bricks, and the Percy is going to be delayed. Over this direction, and the tactical missiles from the cruisers have paid off. They are now well ahead of the curve. And so much destruction from all of that. Brutal's still sitting here, not doing anything, just chilling. But hello, that monkey we saw earlier has decided to wade his way through the pond, and I don't think Team 1 have any idea about it. No, they don't, and the nuke is out from Frogfist, and we see instantly Kerner says, I'm about 80%. So he's about 80% loaded there. Is there another S&D a little bit in another direction, somewhere else perhaps? We see one over here that's only half loaded there from Kenny Lee. Where is the nuke going? Because it's going to connect at this rate. It's going. And is going, and is going, and they gambled on sending it back here over 3 potential SMDs. He just thought, I'm going for it, and this is a big kaboom. Also takes out the nuke launcher that Kenny Lee was building. The SMD's down, the nuke launcher that was almost done was down, the air grid is gone. Massive nuke from Frogfist. It gambled on the location, but it paid off, and now they have an advantage in the air game. They could use all of that. That nuke just killed 137 units for 77.9 thousand mass. Big old explosions, but even with that, we still have Navy in the bay that is rocking its way through remnants of this base. We see there's a whole lot of TMD being placed up all over the place, and it looks like this should just be enough to stop the rot. Looks like it is. Those missiles are not quite getting through. The occasional one it does is impacting on a shield. More TMD is going up all the time, so that is ideal. You slow that down, but what's not ideal is the double Fat Boys coming on in, but they have no shields. They have no shields because somebody ran out of power. Kenny Lee is out of power, and those Fat Boys have no shields. The monkey has made landfall and is currently wading its way through this section over here, killing off the production. Killing off the everything. Now it's been focused on the Fat Boys, though, so within visual range of all this stuff. Just needs to keep walking, does not want to stop, needs to keep going and keep running away. And Fat Boys still no shields for Kenny Lee. How badly off is he after that nuke? He's negative 6,000. Negative 6,000. That's a lot. The monkey, of course, if it gets out of visual range, is going to disappear thanks to there being no... Well, the only Omni's over here, so the monkey's out of range of the Omni. I don't know where it is, and it turns up, kills some things, and walks away again. That is not good for your health. And it's actually Kenny Lee who owns the Omni as well, so he's got no power. That Omni wouldn't even work at this stage. Monkey's made its way into the middle of Canna's base, though. That water has been helpful for hiding it, keeping it away. Units are chasing it down, and it is going to turn around and just destroy everything here. We've got HQ, we've got power. Kill the power. Kill the power. No power, no mass. And that, there we go, that is the focus. Down it goes. We have 2 more T3 pigeons. That is going to cripple these guys, and the monkey has done enough. 40,000 mass worth of damage critically. What a skill, the power and the SMD, and this is the only remaining SMD which is not actually... Okay, it's barely moving. It should be loaded by the time the nuke is done, but it's not going to cover down this direction. And that is a very, very good monkey. But Fat Boys, the Fat Boys got oh, the Fat Boys met their doom between Restorers and the GC. They are down and out. And of course, Restorers do have anti-air on them, and the ASF sent in by Kenny Lee Well, that might have been a bad idea, because he has just lost air. And of course he has no air grid, so he can't even rebuild right now. Everything is relying on this Navy down here to try and do damage, but it can't get through the TMD down here. There's so much TMD spanned up, there's not enough cruisers to get through all of that. And indeed even counter TMD missiles coming out of here from that factory. And that is not looking good. I think that monkey and the nuke has been a turning tide in the battle. I think very much so, plus some restorer spam out from Frogfist. Yes, they still have a massive army down here, but again, no power, no shields. No shields, and there we go. So this is Kenner back here with his comm trying to rebuild the power, which he desperately needs. He's going to should think about popping some engineers out of these. Yes, they might only be support factories, but you could stop it and get them to start pumping out engineers instead, and they can assist with the rebuild. You've only got your commander rebuilding at the moment. This is probably a bit of a noob mistake. You could absolutely take these, stop them, throw out T3 engines, get back here, rebuild, you've got all the mass, and you can get the factories up, get the willpower down, get your energy on the move, and look much, much better. This direction though, we can see the tech missiles have had their toll on this little section. That front base is gone. They are maybe not getting through, but another nuke out. This time where's it going? It is going straight here. The question is that SMD loaded? Yes it is. This nuke is not going to land, which is very, very fortunate for team number one, because they do not need to get nuked again. Cannot afford that to happen, but the restorers are here and they are just going to waltz over everything in the region. There is nothing to slow them down. It's got a few SAMs over the direction, like some ASFs turn up and the ASFs die promptly. These aren't broadswords, boys. These are restorers. They have very strong anti-air for a gunship, and they are just going to... They don't do as much damage to things on the ground. No, they aren't very much in the air to ground, but boy do they have anti-air to the front. Sam's going to try and get some of these down, and Sam's get focused first. It's going to be the end of that. And this restorer ball, I think, is going to be the end. Going to be the end. Without air, it is exactly what Frogfist done. He's decided, okay, no air, I'm going to go straight for restorer spam, and look at these guys go. They are focusing down on the SAMs first, the engineers first actually. Get rid of the engineers, get rid of the SAMs, and they will be free to rock their way through everything. They could even come over here and knock off that SMD, and that would be bad for their health. Got a megalith up here. It is decided enough is enough for the Navy. Sitting still, maybe not the best idea. Taking a lot of damage from everything. Look at the health just melt off that thing. It's only T2 Navy, but it's sitting still, taking a huge swath of tech launcher fire, but now it moves forward, has killed a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, this Navy's dying horrible, horrible deaths. I mean, it is a mega. It is an experimental that should be able to obliterate all this kind of very easily if it's in range. Down here we have a defensive GC. I say defensive because it's only got 25,000 health. A couple of ranks of infantry as well, got some anti-air nearby, but really it is all about these restorers. And they are carving everything up. They're destroying power. They're destroying anti-air. They're destroying mass extractors. And the eco is just getting absolutely smashed. That's probably the worst thing that could happen for team number one. They've got a bit of an air grid down here trying to rebuild, but they need a lot more ASFs than what they got. Those restorables are very, very nasty. Fat Boy comes over, is going to say hello to the GC along with a handful of Percival's here. That GC should die, especially from the Percival fire. Not necessarily so much the Fat Boy fire, although the Fat Boy fire of course helps. Impacting all over the face of that thing. Just have a look at that. Love to see it. It just looks great. That it's just shells impacting on the GC just look absolutely great. It's like, that's one thing I've always liked about this game, is they actually model the projectiles, and you know, if they hit the units, they hit the unit directly, or they smash into the ground. And just like that, the bricks are running away as well. They can't face up against that. If you look in the background though, in the sky, there's a lot of anti-air gunfire going on. And I mean a lot. But as much as they try, there is still restorers doing their thing. Flak is trying to get up and do as much damage as possible. Even more restorers up here, and that is really a crippling blow. Kenner is down to 8. Nope, he's down. All mass per tick. I don't even know where he's getting it from. There we go. A couple of mass extractors over here, but he's got no power to run them because the restorers have killed it all. Now here comes the what I feel is going to be the final push for team number 1. It is Fat Boy. A lot of ground units. There's a whole bunch of anti-air, but there's also a Soul Ripper. Soul Ripper's going to come in. It's going to tackle the lack in anti-air at this stage. It's going to focus the anti-air down actually. Maybe. Taking a lot of damage though. Look at all that. The flak, the Cougars, the T3 anti-air there, they're coming up and they're doing a smashing amount to that gunship. It's not going to get a lot done. In fact, it's focusing on the Fat Boy. Maybe focusing on the anti-air would have been a better idea. That Ripper might actually die. Down into the red, 8,000 health. Got a rank of Venerable, kept alive just a little bit longer, but now, nope, it is gone. So there was a lot of anti-air on the ground which killed off the Soul Ripper, but now the restorers have turned up. The anti-air has been thinned out in gratuitous numbers, and this is a problem. The Fat Boy runs away to the water because why wouldn't you? Nothing you can do against restorers when you're a Fat Boy. What is left? Not a lot. The restorers now starting to carve their way through the top of Kenny's base, and there just simply is not much left that they can do. All swarm of SAMs are in here, so if those destroyers come anywhere near this section, they're going to get dropped out of the sky. There's a lot of them, of course, but a lot of SAMs. The question is, could they snipe the SMD? If those destroyers get in, if they snipe that SMD, then just one more nuke will absolutely finish off the game, although, let's be fair, it has been over for a while now. There's too many restorers in the air now, not enough anti-air. No ASFs. Once that air grid was nuked, once that monkey came out of the water and smashed its way through Kierna's main base, that was probably the tipping point of this game, and now it's just basically academic. As wrap up from Frogfist, he is just carrying on. More air, in fact. How many restorers has he got now? 56 restorers in the air. That is very nasty to try and deal with, especially when you're sending ASFs in a handful at a time. They are just getting taken out of the skies. Novax, okay, why not? Get yourself some ranged destruction options. That will be quite a workable idea. If you can hold off on the middle, hold off on the ground, and hold off those restorers with all of the anti-air, you'd be good. But there is a nuke loaded. So if they switched over, if Frogfist switched over to some strats, have they scouted this actually? Do they know what to go for? Well, they do. There's an SMD right there. Throw a scout over, spot that that's the only single surviving SMD. Send in your Restorer Swarm to obliterate it out of existence and nuke it. And I think that's what he's doing. Those Restorers are coming straight on in. Are they focusing on the SMD? Yes, they are. There's the nuke. There's the SMD down. And that is going to be GG. Final bastion of defense for team number 1 was this big old clump of everything here. No shields whatsoever. A couple of shields could let that SMD live a lot longer. Let the SAMs get to work, and that would have been a whole lot of those restorers down. Might have been able to get something out of that, but as of right now, this nuke is going to be the nail in the coffin for team number 1. Kenny G throws out the GG, he does Control K. That just leaves poor old Cannon by himself trying to build up a mass fabricator on that. I think he's going to surrender or Control K any moment now. And there we go. Kenny bows out, and that was a display from Frogfist MVP. I'm going to give to him because his actions at key moments helped get them out of that tangle. These nuts with the honourable mention to use his commander to kill so many units there, which let Frogfist get his commander out of jail. Those two commanders were very much in trouble. If these nuts had kept walking away instead of towards, he wouldn't have killed as many as he did. They let him survive, let Frogfist survive. But there we go, folks. That is it for today. Have yourselves a wonderful day, morning, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. Until next time, farewell.